Look around you. Most men weren't shaped to be powerful, they were shaped to be agreeable. Raised to be dependable, polite, helpful, the kind of man who shows up for everyone except himself. Maybe your father taught you to work hard, to be honest, to treat people well, and those are good things. But did he ever teach you how to carry yourself like a man whose presence shifts a room? Did he teach you that being available to everyone makes you invisible? Did he teach you that emotional discipline separates leaders from losers? Probably not. Because he grew up the same way, softened, conditioned, told to fit in rather than stand out. He passed down what he knew, how to survive, not how to dominate. How to keep life stable, not how to build an empire. And here's the truth no one likes to admit, the world has never respected softness. It respects strength, strategy, self-control, and the man who cannot be used. Today, you're going to learn what your father never taught you, not because he didn't care, but because no one taught him either. This isn't about blaming your upbringing. It's about ending a cycle that keeps good men weak. It's about turning confusion into clarity, obedience into vision, survival into sovereignty. We're diving into Machiavellian principles, the kind of truths that separate followers from leaders and boys from men. These aren't inspirational quotes. This is raw, unfiltered reality about power, respect, and the ability to carve your own path in a world that pushes you to stay small. Before we begin, comment this affirmation: I choose power over approval. Let's see who's actually ready to evolve. Lesson 1: Childhood blindness and harsh reality. You grew up inside a carefully crafted illusion, a soft bubble meant to keep you obedient, manageable, and harmless. The adults in your life told you the same comforting script: be nice, share, work hard, avoid trouble, trust people, and life will reward you. You believed it because you were a child, and children trust the world they're handed. You assumed the adults knew what they were doing, so you followed the blueprint. Then real life arrived and shattered everything. The moment you stepped outside that bubble, you learned the truth the hard way. The world doesn't reward good intentions. Being nice doesn't earn respect. Effort doesn't guarantee success. People lie, cheat, use you, smile at you while plotting behind your back, and switch sides the moment it benefits them. Suddenly you're angry, confused, betrayed, because the rules you were taught don't match the rules the world actually runs on. You were told honesty wins, yet you watch liars climb ahead. You were told hard work pays off, yet you see mediocrity thrive when it has connections. You were told kindness returns to you, yet your kindness is treated as weakness. Your loyalty gets drained. Your trust gets manipulated. Your good heart gets used like a free service. And here's the ancient truth Machiavelli understood long before you were born: the world doesn't belong to the innocent, it belongs to those who see reality clearly and adjust without hesitation. You were shielded instead of prepared. Protected instead of trained. Your childhood comfort was supposed to keep you safe, but it actually kept you powerless. Protection without exposure becomes a cage. A soft prison disguised as love. And now you walk into adulthood shocked at how people behave. Shocked that loyalty is rare. Shocked that fairness is a myth. Shocked that your moral code isn't universal. But staying blind now? Operating with childhood programming in an adult world? That's no longer anyone else's fault, that's a choice. A choice that's costing you your relationships, your confidence, your success, and your self-respect. You have to stop expecting the world to follow the rules you were taught as a child. You must stop assuming people think the way you do. You must stop taking betrayal personally. You must start seeing reality for what it is, not what you wish it were. Only then can you adapt. Only then can you evolve. Only then can you thrive in the world as it truly exists, not in the fantasy that raised you. Now comment this affirmation: I see reality clearly. Lesson 10, Reinvention, Eliminating the Weaker You. This final lesson is the one most men run from, because it demands something brutal. A version of you has to die. Not eventually. Not when life forces you to change. Now. You will never rise while dragging your old self along. The version of you that avoided conflict, sought approval, made excuses, and played safe, that version is anchoring you to the bottom. You cannot build a stronger identity on top of the habits and fears that kept you small. Every powerful man you know has buried past versions of himself. The insecure one. The broke one. The indecisive one. The one who lived for validation instead of purpose. They didn't pretend those old versions never existed. They acknowledged them, learned from them, and then outgrew them, permanently. The reason most people remain stuck is simple. They're emotionally attached to who they used to be. This is just how I am. I've always been like this. This is my personality. That's not self-awareness. That's a cage. Machiavelli taught that a leader must reshape himself as circumstances change. Not because he's fake, because survival demands evolution. The man who refuses to adapt collapses under the weight of his own stagnation. The man who evolves gains an undeniable advantage. So ask yourself honestly, what part of you must be destroyed today? The version that says yes to everyone? Cut him off. Replace him with a man who protects his time like treasure. The version afraid of what people will think. Let him die. Bring forth the man who knows other people's opinions are irrelevant to his destiny. The version that waits for approval or permission. Erase him. Step into the identity of someone who sets his own direction without hesitation. The version that tolerates disrespect, excuses, and emotional manipulation. Bury him. Build the man whose self-respect is non-negotiable. The version that reacts emotionally to everything. Kill him. Replace him with a strategist who responds deliberately, not impulsively. You're not betraying yourself by letting the old you go. You're betraying yourself if you don't. Every belief that held you back, every habit that weakened you, every identity built on fear rather than strength, all of it must be burned down so something sharper can rise. This isn't pretending. This isn't acting. This is returning to who you were supposed to be before life conditioned you to be small, agreeable, and harmless. You're not behind because of your past. You fall behind only if you refuse to transform right now. Reinvention is not optional. It's survival. It's the difference between being forgotten and becoming untouchable. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I destroy my weakness and rebuild myself stronger. Lesson 2, Useful Men versus Powerful Men. Let me ask you something honestly. When people think of you, do they see someone they respect or someone they can use? Most men don't realize they've been conditioned from childhood to become helpers, fixers, and problem solvers for everyone but themselves. Your father probably praised you for being a good boy. Your mother loved that you were considerate. Teachers rewarded you for being cooperative. Society applauded you for being the guy who shows up and keeps things running smoothly. And on the surface, it sounds noble. But there's a darker truth no one warns you about. When you're always fixing other people's problems, they stop seeing you as a person and start seeing you as a tool. A useful man is the one people call when something breaks. A powerful man is the one people call when a decision has to be made. A useful man rearranges his schedule for everyone. A powerful man sets the schedule others work around. A useful man asks, "How can I help?" A powerful man asks, "Why should I invest my time in this?" A useful man is available. A powerful man is selective. See the difference? This isn't about being heartless. It's about understanding that endless helpfulness without boundaries turns you into a servant. Yes, people appreciate your effort, but appreciation isn't respect. Praise isn't influence. Gratitude isn't power. Machiavelli understood something essential: the more accessible a man is, the less value he holds. The more predictable you are, the more people expect from you, and the less they offer in return. Think about your own life right now. Who only calls you when they need something? Who vanishes the moment you need support? Who applauds your sacrifices yet never sacrifices for you? Who admires your reliability but disrespects your time? These people don't see you as powerful, they see you as convenient. A powerful man contributes on his own terms. He gives, but with boundaries. He helps, but with conditions. He supports, but without sacrificing himself. He is respected because he is not easily accessed, not easily persuaded, and not easily drained. Being endlessly useful keeps you needed. Being powerful keeps you respected. Stop being the tool others rely on. Start becoming the man that others must earn access to. Now comment this affirmation: I create, not comply. Lesson 3: Power through scarcity and self-respect. Here's a simple test. Think about the last time someone messaged you. How fast did you reply? If your instinct was to respond instantly, you're unintentionally lowering your own value. It may sound harsh, but constant availability kills respect. Most men believe being responsive makes them good friends, good partners, good employees. They think being always there shows loyalty and proves reliability. But in reality, it teaches people to take you for granted. When your time comes too easily, people assume it isn't worth much. Human beings are wired to value what's rare. Gold is valuable because it's scarce. Exclusive products are valuable because not everyone can have them. Even experiences gain meaning when they're limited. Your time and attention work exactly the same way. When you give them away freely, without boundaries or intention, you drain their power. You become background noise, expected, accessible, replaceable. This isn't about playing childish games or ignoring people just to seem important. It's about respecting your own life enough to stop pouring your energy into every demand that comes your way. Every urgent favor you accept without thinking. Every message you reply to instantly. Every plan you rearrange for someone who wouldn't do the same. Every time you choose others over your responsibilities. You're silently telling the world that your priorities don't matter, and they believe you. Powerful men understand that their time is their currency. They choose carefully who gets access to it. They don't respond immediately to everything. They don't allow other people's emergencies to hijack their day. They don't apologize for protecting their peace, their focus, and their purpose. When you become less available, something shifts. People begin treating your presence with more appreciation. They understand they're not entitled to your attention. They stop assuming you will always drop everything for them. They begin valuing the moments you do show up because they know those moments are intentional, not automatic. Machiavelli taught that rarity amplifies desire. When your presence is abundant, people treat it like air. When your presence is limited, people breathe differently around you. Your time is not cheap. Your energy is not infinite. Your attention is not a free resource. Guard them like they matter, because they do. Once you do, watch how quickly the world starts treating you differently. Now comment this affirmation: my presence is valuable. Lesson 4: Emotional detachment and cold control. Let's talk about the one thing that sabotages more men than anything else: their emotions. From childhood, you were fed a comforting lie that expressing every feeling makes you authentic, that vulnerability is always good, that reacting openly is healthy. And while emotional expression has its place, in private, with trusted people, or in therapeutic environments, the real world doesn't reward emotional men. The arenas of power, competition, business, relationships, and social dynamics are unforgiving. In these spaces, unchecked emotion is not strength, it's leverage. It's a handle anyone can grab to control you. Think back to the last time someone upset you. They provoked you, and you reacted. They triggered jealousy, and you spiraled. They made you feel guilty, and you folded. They insulted you, and you lost control. Every reaction was a window into your weaknesses. Every emotional impulse became an exposed wire they could touch again and again. Men who cannot regulate their emotions are puppets. One compliment can buy their loyalty. One insult can push them into stupidity. One guilt trip can make them abandon their own interests. One emotional impulse can ruin opportunities that took years to build. Being cold doesn't mean lacking feelings. Being cold means controlling the space between emotion and action. A powerful man feels everything, but he decides when, how, and whether he responds. He doesn't explode in rage just because he's angry. He doesn't break down because he's afraid. He doesn't chase someone because he feels attachment. He doesn't surrender to guilt without questioning its source. He is not emotionless, he is emotionally disciplined. That gap, the pause between the trigger and the response, is where all power lives. It's the space where strategy replaces instinct, where logic overrides impulse, where long-term wins replace momentary satisfaction. Machiavelli warned that rulers who react emotionally destroy themselves. Anger creates recklessness. Fear creates submission. Pride creates blindness. Love creates stupidity. Every emotion, if uncontrolled, becomes a weapon others can use against you. So you must master the pause. When someone disrespects you, pause. When someone tries to bait you, pause. When someone demands a reaction, pause. When someone pushes your emotional buttons, pause and examine the intention. In that pause, you regain your throne. In that pause, you become unpredictable. In that pause, you become untouchable. Because while emotional men are busy reacting, powerful men are busy thinking. Feel what you feel, but never let feelings dictate your moves. Let your emotions inform you, not drive you. Let your mind stay calm even when your heart is screaming. That is cold control. That is strategic power. Comment this affirmation: I control my response. Lesson 5: Necessary cruelty and ruthless priorities. This lesson will make some people uncomfortable, and that's exactly why it matters. Growth never comes from staying soft. It comes from choosing what's necessary over what feels good. Most men avoid being firm, direct, or uncompromising because they want to be liked. They want to be seen as nice, understanding, or easy to deal with. So they say yes when they're exhausted. They stay loyal to people who drain them. They tolerate disrespect so they won't appear rude. They shrink themselves to avoid conflict. They trade their dreams for temporary harmony. But that isn't kindness. That isn't goodness. That isn't virtue. That's weakness disguised as morality. That's self-betrayal wrapped in politeness. Necessary cruelty isn't about harming people. It's about doing the hard thing that protects your path, even when it makes others uncomfortable. Necessary cruelty means cutting ties with people who constantly waste your time. Saying no without guilt, justification, or long explanations. Ending relationships that don't support your growth. Walking away from familiar environments that keep you small. Refusing to tolerate disrespect in any form. Choosing your mission over other people's comfort. Being willing to look like the villain in someone else's story. Most men never rise because they're terrified of disapproval. They fear disappointing others. They fear being judged. They fear being misunderstood. So they cling to softness in moments that demand strength, and that choice ruins their potential. Successful men aren't ruthless because they enjoy it. They're ruthless because their vision requires it. Every man who achieved anything great had to make decisions others didn't understand. They had to let people go. They had to set firm boundaries. They had to choose long-term victories over temporary approval. People called them cold. People said they changed. People accused them of selfishness. And they kept going anyway. Machiavelli taught that a ruler cannot survive by being good in every situation. A man who refuses to draw hard lines eventually gets trampled by those who have no problem crossing them. Your desire to be universally liked is the same thing that keeps you stepping aside while others take what you should have guarded. So ask yourself, who drains you but remains in your life because you're afraid to cut them off? What dreams have you postponed because someone else might not approve? What disrespect have you tolerated because you didn't want to cause conflict? What boundaries should have been set months ago, but weren't, because you feared a reaction? That fear is your cage. Approval is your prison. Being agreeable is your downfall. Necessary cruelty is not about hurting people, it's about refusing to hurt yourself anymore. It's about choosing long-term growth over short-term validation. It's about protecting your future instead of keeping everyone else comfortable in the present. Be strong first. Be kind only when it does not cost your self-respect. Be generous only when you're not setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. Be compassionate from a place of strength, not from fear of rejection. Comment this affirmation: I protect my path. Lesson 6: Autonomy and Zero Approval Dependence. How many times have you held yourself back because you were waiting for someone else to validate your choices? How often have you postponed your own plans because someone didn't approve, didn't support you, or didn't agree with your vision? How many dreams have you buried because you were scared of being judged? If the answer is anything more than none, then you're not leading your life, you're following someone else's script. Most men spend their entire existence chasing approval. Approval from parents who project their own fears onto them. Approval from friends who aren't any more successful. Approval from partners who want them predictable rather than ambitious. Approval from society that rewards obedience, not individuality. Approval from strangers online whose opinions have zero bearing on their futures. And here's the harsh truth. If you need others to approve your path, you do not own your life. You become a prisoner, not of rules or walls, but of opinions, the softest and most suffocating prison of all. Every time you adjust yourself to fit someone else's expectations, you trade away a piece of your autonomy. Every time you wait for permission, you give up your power. Every time you look for reassurance before making a move, you surrender control of your destiny. Machiavelli warned that any leader who depends on the goodwill of others is doomed the moment that goodwill fades, and it always fades. People change. They doubt you. They lose interest. They grow jealous. They withdraw support when you need it most. Approval is temporary. Autonomy is permanent. Powerful men aren't reckless, but they are self-directed. They make decisions based on their mission, not the crowd's comfort. They trust their instincts more than someone else's hesitation. They'd rather fail on their own terms than live a safe life built on other people's expectations. So ask yourself, how many risks have you avoided because someone else was afraid? How many goals have you diluted because someone thought they were unrealistic? How many times have you shrunk your ambition so you wouldn't stand out? How many hours have you wasted wondering what someone might think? Every time you do this, you move farther from the life you want and deeper into a life that was never yours. Autonomy means you choose the direction. It means you don't wait for applause before you take a step. It means you don't seek permission for dreams that only you can see. It means you don't allow doubt, yours or anyone else's, to override your conviction. Stop handing your fate to people who won't live with the consequences of your decisions. Stop asking people who haven't built anything for advice on building something. Stop letting people, who don't even know what they want, influence what you should want. The moment you stop needing approval, you become unshakable. People can't manipulate you because you don't need their acceptance. They can't guilt you because you don't need their praise. They can't control you because you don't fear their disapproval. That is autonomy. That is inner sovereignty. That is power. Comment this affirmation: I rule my life. Lesson 7: Limited availability and controlled access. There is one thing that destroys respect faster than betrayal, arguments, or distance, and that is overexposure. When people can reach you anytime. When you answer everything immediately. When you're always ready to show up on command. You stop being special and start being ordinary. Human beings naturally value what feels scarce. They desire what is selective, admire what is protected, and respect what is difficult to access. The moment your time, attention, and energy become endlessly available, people stop feeling grateful for it. They stop appreciating it. They start expecting it. Your presence becomes background noise, something they barely notice until it's gone. This applies to relationships, friendships, business, networking, even family. Every area of your life changes based on how you control access to yourself. Most men give away far too much of themselves for free. They explain every decision. They answer every call. They respond to every message within seconds. They allow anyone to interrupt their day. They treat their personal space like an open doorway that anyone can walk through at any time. Then they wonder why no one respects them. Then they wonder why their time feels worthless. Then they wonder why they're always drained. A powerful man operates differently. He treats his time as a luxury item, not a public resource. He guards his emotional and mental space like a fortress. He decides who gets access and when, not the other way around. He doesn't explain himself to everyone. He doesn't respond instantly unless it benefits him. He doesn't reorganize his entire schedule for other people's convenience. He doesn't allow anyone to demand his presence as if it's owed. Machiavelli understood the importance of controlled access. He said people may see what you appear to be, but only a few should ever get close enough to know who you truly are. Mystery creates gravity. Limited access creates desire. Scarcity creates value. When people don't know everything about you, they're more careful. When they can't predict your every move, they pay closer attention. When they can't reach you anytime they want, they appreciate the moments they can. Your availability should be earned, not assumed. Think about your life right now. Who takes your time for granted because you never set boundaries? Who expects immediate answers because you always gave them in the past? Who treats you casually because you made yourself easy to access? Who drains you simply because you haven't learned to say not today? You don't owe everyone access to your energy. You don't owe everyone a response. You don't owe everyone your time. You don't owe everyone an explanation. Start becoming someone people must qualify for. Someone whose time has weight. Someone whose presence feels meaningful, not automatic. Be selective with who enters your world. Be intentional with who you give energy to. Be protective of your inner peace. Your presence should feel like an event, not a routine. Comment this affirmation: I guard my energy. Lesson 8: The authority of silence and the gravity of presence. Most men go through life believing that power comes from speaking the loudest, arguing the hardest, or controlling every conversation. They think dominance is about volume. They think respect comes from constantly proving themselves. They're wrong. Silence carries more authority than noise ever will. Presence controls a room long before words do. The man who truly holds power isn't the one filling every second with chatter. It's the man who can sit in complete stillness while everyone else scrambles to fill the quiet. It's the man who doesn't waste words because he understands their value. His silence creates pressure. His presence sets the tone. Think about the strongest men you've encountered, the ones you genuinely respected. Not the ones who bark orders or try to intimidate people with empty confidence. The real ones. Mentors. Leaders. Men whose actions spoke louder than everyone else's explanations. Did they talk endlessly? Did they rush to respond? Did they panic in silence? No. They spoke when necessary. And when they did, people listened. Talking too much exposes insecurity. It signals the need to be understood, approved, validated. It reveals nerves, doubt, and desperation. Filling every gap in conversation tells people you're uncomfortable with yourself. Powerful men are comfortable with space. They're at peace with quiet. They don't feel the need to justify every decision or explain every move. They don't rush to defend themselves. They know their presence already communicates what words can't. Because silence creates tension. And tension commands attention. When you speak less, people pay closer attention to what you do say. When you take your time to respond, people reconsider their own words. When you don't react immediately, you force others to reveal themselves. Silence is a blade. When used intentionally, it cuts through manipulation, ego, and noise. In negotiations, the first person to break silence usually loses. In conflict, the one who remains calm gains control by default. In relationships, the one who needs less holds more influence. In any social dynamic, the person most at ease and quiet controls the flow. Then there is presence, the energy you bring without speaking. The way you walk into a room. The way you sit. The way you observe. People feel it before you say a single word. You can sit in a meeting without saying much and still be the most respected person in the room. You can speak rarely and still be the one whose opinion settles the discussion. Because presence carries a weight that constant talking never can. Machiavelli understood this. Power is not only in action, but in perception. A man who guards his thoughts, who reveals little, who speaks selectively, he becomes unpredictable, and unpredictability creates mystique. People respect what they cannot easily read. Most men do the opposite. They over-explain. They nervously fill silence. They ramble when challenged. They react too quickly. And with every unnecessary word, they hand over power. Stop doing that. Stop explaining yourself unless it serves a strategy. Stop reacting instantly just because someone is waiting. Stop speaking when silence would say more. Stop giving away your entire mind to people who didn't earn access to it. Instead, sit with your thoughts before responding. Let others rush to fill the space while you observe. Let people wonder what you're thinking. Let silence work in your favor. And refine your presence, your posture, your eye contact, your stillness, the energy you project. When a man is grounded within himself, he becomes magnetic. Master silence. Master presence. You'll notice people behave differently around you. They speak more carefully. They listen more intently. They respect your words because they aren't drowned in noise. Now repeat this truth. Silence is strength. Presence is power. Lesson 9, Independence, Solitude, and Self-Sovereignty. Let me tell you something most people never realize until it's too late. The most dangerous man in any environment is the one who stands solid on his own. Not the loudest voice. Not the biggest ego. Not the guy demanding attention. The true powerhouse is the man who doesn't crumble when he's alone. The man who doesn't need a crowd, a cheerleader, or a support system to feel steady. The one who could walk into silence, sit with his thoughts, and come out stronger. Most men can't do that. They depend on constant noise, constant company, constant validation, constant entertainment, because quiet scares them. They're terrified of being alone with the truth about themselves. So they hide in distractions. Endless scrolling. Meaningless conversations. Constant socializing. Anything to avoid stillness. But that dependency is exactly what makes them weak, predictable, and easy to control. A man who cannot be alone can be manipulated through the threat of loneliness. Take away his attention, his comfort, his approval, and he folds instantly. But the man who has learned to stand by himself, the man who's found comfort in solitude, you cannot move him. You cannot threaten him. You cannot break him. Why? Because he's already built a world inside himself that no one else can touch. Solitude isn't isolation. It's clarity. It's the place where all the external noise falls away and you face the real version of you, not the one you present to the world, not the one shaped by other people's expectations, but the one underneath it all. That's where strong men are forged. In solitude, you confront the truths you usually avoid. In solitude, you sharpen your thinking. In solitude, You rebuild your identity based on your own standards, not society's. A man who's comfortable with himself becomes impossible to manipulate. Reject him? He doesn't care. He's not seeking your approval. Ignore him? He thrives alone. Judge him? Your opinion holds no weight in his world. That's what real sovereignty looks like. You become your own foundation. Machiavelli said you can judge the intelligence of a ruler by the company he keeps. But the deeper truth is this. The strongest ruler is the one who doesn't need anyone at all, who surrounds himself with people by choice, never by dependence. Weak men think solitude is punishment. Strong men recognize it as training. So start giving yourself real alone time, not numbing yourself with screens or noise, but truly sitting with your thoughts, planning, reflecting, building that inner fortress. Because a disciplined, self-governing mind is the ultimate stronghold. And that can only be built away from the crowd. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I stand alone and I stand strong. So this is where everything comes together. 10 lessons your father might never have given you, not because he didn't care, but because no one taught him either. But now you know. You have the blueprint in front of you, and that means you're responsible for what happens next. You have two choices. You can click away and drift right back into the version of yourself that's been holding you back, the version that chases approval, tolerates disrespect, reacts emotionally, and lives by everyone else's rules. Or you can decide that today is the moment everything shifts. Because transformation doesn't happen from inspiration alone. It happens from action, deliberate, uncomfortable, immediate action. If anything in this video hit you hard, good. That discomfort is your mind waking up. Don't ignore it. Don't run from it. Use it. Hit the like button as your first commitment to this new path. Share this with another man who needs a wake-up call. Don't keep this knowledge to yourself. And subscribe, because this channel is where men sharpen their minds, reclaim their power, and learn how to move through the world strategically. Before you close this video, do one thing differently. Set a boundary. Say a firm no. Delay a reaction. Make a decision without asking for permission. Remove one person who drains you. Choose yourself. It doesn't have to be big, it just has to be real. You're not behind because of where you started. You fall behind only when you refuse to evolve. Start the transformation now. Build the man who cannot be controlled, manipulated, or dismissed. Reconstruct yourself into someone untouchable. I'll see you in the next one.